We have a CRMLS trainer on here from CBAR, which is Citrus Valley Association of Realtors. She does various office trainings on different topics. Today, we're going to be going over some CRMLS stuff, specifically CMAs. And I do get that question quite a bit. What do I use for a CMA? How do I make it work? So there's one right there in CRMLS, which actually most MLSs do have them. But today we're going to cover CRMLS and how to perform a CMA and use it in your business. Before we get started, we have Paul with Tried and True Home Loans, as usual. Hey, Paul, how are things going?
Awesome. Good, good. Hey, I just want to put something out there. I get calls from half you guys, and you guys didn't realize that Trident 2 Home Loans is actually, in fact, owned by Rise Realty. So we're not like just a mortgage company down the street. Travis and Alicia, they both own this company. So feel free to reach out to us for any questions or that you may have in regards to that. All right, so let me set up my share screen.
Is that a recent lake picture?
Is
Is
that
that a recent picture of the lake?
recent picture of the link?
Your background.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That one. There's some guy named Kerry. He actually moved to the Philippines. He was in Big Bear for the longest time, and he took a lot of pictures of Big Bear, but he still has kids, and they take a bunch of pictures and upload it to Facebook from time to time. So these are fairly recent pictures. I believe this one was back in, I want to say March or April.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not Big Bear Lake. That's like a small lake called Baker's Pond, which is on the other side of Big Bear Lake.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
it's very
fuzzy edge or what? Yeah.
right. All right, so let me just try to share real quick. Okay, can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, awesome. So a quick mortgage market snapshot and smart borrowing tips. All right. So, in the next few minutes, we'll cover a brief market update, three smart mortgage tips, what buyers should do now. Um, as you know, current interest rates, I'm going to say this is end of the day on Friday, 30-year fixed, and I can average 6.75% based on 0 points. The trend is people are trying to do adjustable, fixed preference, refinance activity, things like that. Now, lenders are watching their credit scores and debt to income ratios very closely. So everything seems like comfortable, and over time, you're going to see, if the market doesn't do this hooray, kind of thing, everybody, buying houses like it was 5 years ago, you're going to start seeing lenders tightening the belt because everybody's watching their books, they're watching their employees. You're probably going to see some layoffs here and there. When you do see that, that just simply means things aren't coming in as quickly like it was 5 years ago. So just keep an eye on that. Don't let somebody pull the rug underneath you. If somebody's got a 50% DTI, for example, and magically, some of these lenders like Fannie and Freddie decide to change it to 40 or 45 due to market conditions. Some people have a mindset of, I'll wait another 6 months, I got good DTI, and then things happen. Because you got to remember, houses and mortgages really don't talk to each other. They have their two own separate minds. Okay, getting a pre-approval is more important, not just pre-qualification. Here's the difference, just a fine line difference, not to get into politics. Pre-qualification, they're just pulling credit, and verbally the client is telling the lender, oh yeah, I make $200,000 a year, everything hunky-dory. They're just relying on verbal information and a documentation of credit. Pre-approval is where you pull credit and you provide majority of the documentation, like your income, your asset, your banking, and all that good stuff. You're putting the puzzle together, and everything looks more legit and looks really good. So it's really important that you want to see if somebody's getting pre-approved, not pre-qualified. That's a huge difference. Again, watch your credit and DTI ratio. Consider all loan types. You got FHA, VA, ARM, etc. I would say if you have a certificate of eligibility and you're looking for owner occupied property, VA is like the best loan to go for. They have sweeter rates. Usually they're more streamlined to get into, and you have more wiggle room than any kind of loan type. Okay, what should buyers do now? Start early. Rates are fluctuating weekly. You've seen it in the past 2 months. They kind of go up and down. Work with a trusted lender and a realtor, of course, and always compare options before choosing a loan. Meaning, should you really go to FHA or VA or conventional? You should. Some people their brain is diving down. Okay, if they get a conventional and they put 20% down, they won't have the MI. But then if they get FHA, they'll do less down, but they have the MI. So, and the rate is better. So it really depends on their situation. You just want to be straightforward. 1, 2, 3. Okay. If you have any questions, need help, set up a one-on-one. I'd be glad to get on Zoom. And this is all I have. Just shoot over a question, text, voice note, anything. Thank you so much.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. I've seen a couple articles come out lately about 2025 and 20, and I think if you're predicting stuff, that far out, it's, probably not going to be 100% accurate or even close to that. But that with the increase in inventory and speculative, decreasing rates throughout the year, that this will be a really good time for the buyers to get into the market. We are seeing some longer market times and things like that. I am going to go over some marketing for listings on our next webinar and some different things. If you have a listing that's kind of sitting a little stagnant or slow or something like that, we're going to go over some things we can do to get those properties moved. But today, which kind of ties into it, I guess, a little bit, is creating a CMA in CRMLS. So we have a trainer with Citrus Valley Association of Realtors, and she's going to go ahead and take it over. Good morning. How's it going?
Good morning. Thank you so much. So my name is Joanna Daher. I'm the broker and membership manager here at Citrus Valley Association of Realtors. And one of your many member benefits as being part of Citrus Valley is these free trainings. I can do them via Zoom. If you're a Citrus Valley member, then I can do one-on-one training in person or via Zoom, in person in Glendora. And I can go over how to create a CMA, how to input a listing, how to do various searches in CRMLS, as well as zip form training, which includes template training, e-sign packets, checklists, things like that, as well as legal updates. Since new forms are coming out in June, if you guys want me to come back in June to do a legal update, I definitely can. I think we have that scheduled possibly, but we'll talk about that. And let me just go
sounds
ahead
good.
I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and show you guys a little bit about Citrus Valley, NAR, CAR, and what you guys get by being members with them as realtors. Go ahead and just let me know if you can see my screen and if anything's blurry.
Nope, everything's good.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So here at Citrus Valley Association of Realtors, you guys are just more than members. You are not just names on a list of realtors. You don't just pay us and forget about us. Of course, your broker is your number one resource, but I also just want you to know that here, your membership matters. You all matter. Our mission is clear here at Citrus Valley. We want to promote, protect, and enhance each realtor's ability to successfully conduct business with pride and integrity, especially in the current market that we're in, where after the NAR lawsuit, things are just a little messy. Buyers are hesitant, and we just want to always be able to educate and keep you guys updated on what's new and what's going on the association level. And there are 3 levels. There's the National Association of Realtors, the California Association of Realtors, and then your local board. You have to belong to all 3 in order to call yourself a realtor, and you have to be in good standing. Some benefits that we bring to you with Citrus Valley is we have over 200 educational classes yearly. We actually have a commercial class that's 9 to 5 on June 18th in our Glendora location, and it's a giant workshop on how to list and sell commercial property. And I've been pushing this class out as much as possible because there's not a lot of commercial resources out there unless you take a class at a college or someone who is seasoned in commercial is willing to share the information. If you guys are interested in attending, you do not have to be a CVAR member. You just go ahead and look at our website under our calendar or email me directly and I can register you. It is $75, but again, 9 to 5 all day and just straight commercial information. Besides commercial classes, we also have many 1031s. Just check out our calendar. We have lots of networking events coming up for you. But one of our biggest, newest member benefits with Citrus Valley is called FunX. You have to be a member with CVAR to have access to it. But FunX is one of those discounted websites that normally Fortune 500 companies will go ahead and have their employees have access to it. And it gives them discounts on hotels, theme parks like Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, gym, all gyms, and thousands of more. Like it's crazy. And you just have to be a CVAR member and you get access to it for free. I don't think any other association has it. If you guys want access to it, just give me a call or email me and I can walk you through how to sign up. But what I like to go over quickly is NAR. NAR, their biggest benefits, they give you insurance, but it's tailored to all 50 states. So if you're going to want home, life, or auto insurance, go through CAR, California Association of Realtors, which I'll go over in a second. But NAR has designations for you guys, and it's about $130. But if you take any of these designations, it sets you apart from other realtors who aren't designated. So like one of the designations I recommend is the ABR one, and it basically makes you an expert at representing buyers, how to have the consultation, how to talk to them, how to get them to not feel so hesitant into getting into an exclusive buyer representation agreement with you, and just how to successfully close a transaction when it comes to disclosures and paperwork. And it's $130. You just go to NAR's website. And I think every other year they'll go ahead and update your certification. I don't think it costs a lot to renew it. I think it's probably like half the price. But again, you get that designation. You can put that ABR in your signature line. So when you're prospecting, people will see that you are not only a realtor, but you're a professional buyer representative. And they can look this up when they look up your license number. Another certification is the ePro certification course. So if you find yourself posting a lot on social media, trying to get a lot of leads through your online lead generation, the ePro certification course is about the same price as the last one I talked about, $130, but it helps you create a online reputation through your website, through your social media, and how to make those leads turn into actual transactions. And then again, you can put that certification in your signature line. So if anyone sees you prospecting online, even if you put it in your Instagram bio or your captions, it sets you apart from other realtors. And in this market, that's what you want to do. You want to set yourself apart. The last certification I highly recommend is the PSA certification course. It's the same one. This one is for listings. This makes you an expert at handling sellers, appraisers, and handling clients who don't necessarily agree with the list price you are pushing. And this course will help you create CMAs that create prices that are set to sell. And it's just an amazing designation. My two favorites are the ABR and this one. This ties in to the ABR certification. And so if you get both of these or all three, I mean, you're solid. But that's just my opinion. Everyone can decide what they want to do. They have multiple other designations as well, especially when representing international clients from Singapore or China. Seniors, there's a senior designation, things like that. So that's what's cool about NAR. CAR, they have a lot of benefits. My favorite benefit is the legal hotline, which is at 213-739-8282 line. And that is for when your broker and yourself have a transaction and you're in a situation where you're not too sure how to handle it legally or what form to use or what verbiage to use in a disclosure, anything like that. You would call the legal hotline, and the attorneys who write up the contracts will tell you exactly how to handle your situation, whether how to write it out, if you should put it in writing, how you should go about it via discussion, whatever it is, or what form to use. They're there at your disposal. You also get discounts with Hurdler. It's an app on your phone. So you just input your mileage, your closing gifts, anything like that. It tracks all of your expenses for your business. So when tax season comes by, you just print it out and give it to your tax person because everything you do is tax deductible. I know sometimes with NAR and CAR dues, not all of it's tax deductible, but Hurdler will help with all those little things that you forget that you do, like your mileage, your gas, your closing gifts, things like that. Um, Another cool line is the 213-739-8383. It's a lender liaison help. So basically, if it's the weekend and you have a question on how to get a loan closed or if something is okay, they can help you with underwriting and short sales and things like that. And it's just a hotline, just like the legal hotline. Same attorneys, I believe. But if you ever want insurance, you just call CAR membership and you can get insurance for home and auto and life, which is discounted. They give you like a list of insurers that they work with, and they'll give you discounts, which is cool. Now, the Realtor Action Fund and Party, that is that $49 optional fee that you see on your yearly dues. I know the yearly dues with Citrus Valley come in December around the time that, holidays are and our dues are due up front, unlike other associations. So I do understand when you guys see the $49 optional fee and choose to not invest in it. But I just wanted to go over what the Realtor Action Fund is. And basically what it is it allows our government affairs department to go ahead and advocate for policies that affect the future of the real estate business. And what that means is things like rent control in all of the state. It goes towards different props that if you are against it and legislation is pushing for it, that's when we come in, we step in, and we advocate against it. So one of the biggest things was rent control for the whole state. Around voting season, we handed out so many signs that said no on it. So that way it wouldn't go through. And then Bill Rue and a few of our board of directors went to Washington, D.C. and advocated for the issue and made sure it didn't go through. Same thing with VA loans. The VA department did not want to cover the compensation for buyer agents who were representing VA veterans. And, that would have been a big thing because they already have trouble just in general getting representation and getting loans and things like that. So we advocated against that policy, and the VA department ended up agreeing to go ahead and compensate buyer agents. So whenever you feel like, you have an extra $20 here or $30 there during the year, you can just give us a call and invest towards the future of the realtor business. So you don't always have to do it during the annual dues. Always follow us on social media. I know you guys get your CRMLS reminders about anything that's upcoming with us, but sometimes we say read later and we don't read it later. So on social media, we give updates as well. Any questions? I know that was a lot of information.
If anybody has questions, you can throw them down in the chat and then we'll grab those as we go. So because we usually have a lot of people on here, we keep them muted, otherwise it gets to be kind of crazy.
Kind of crazy.
So we do it in the chat, and then if they want to raise their hand, we can unmute them. But yeah, if you have any questions about any membership or anything like that, now's your chance to ask. So
Perfect. Thank you so much, Travis. Okay, the 3 best designations. The first one's the ABR designation course. That's the one that makes you an expert in representing buyers. The other one is the ePro certification course, which is for the online lead generation. So you can make your website legally good and good compliance and generate leads. It helps you with that. And then the last one was, let's see what the last one was.
that was the pricing strategies.
Yes, the PSA certification course. Yes, that's the one that makes you an expert at pricing your listings and creating those CMAs in the most effective way possible. Probably better than what I'm going to show you, to be honest with you. And when it comes to CMAs, I always tell everybody, like, no one CMA ever looks the same. Everyone has their own way of doing their CMAs. What I'm going to show you today is the most basic, and it's going to show you how many pages you can include with CRMLS. And that one, I think it's IRES, the international designation. If you go on NAR's website under education, you'll see all the designations. There's so many. And towards the end of the year, just to be honest with you guys, like around October, November, they start to discount them. So like
Yeah.
by 10%. Yeah. So
Sometimes
it's
I'll see
really,
them come through free too, depending on kind of what's going on in the market.
yeah.
So, or not so much the market, but the industry. Sometimes I'll see them offer a
Mhm.
free course or two.
Yeah.
So, I always check in on those.
Yeah. The ABR one last year from, I believe, like the fourth, at the beginning of the fourth quarter, ABR was free. And that's
Hmm.
because of the whole BRBC and how
Yeah.
to represent buyers, because now you have to be in a written agreement before showing property. And how are you guys liking having the BRBC?
Um, I'd say for the most part, I mean, we're getting to the same outcome just with extra paperwork.
Right?
So,
That's what I thought too.
we're not getting a ton of pushback. I mean, there's some clients out there that, they don't follow the news cycles and things like that. And, we can't control everybody's feeds, obviously, but, they're like, there's no way I'm going to do this. This doesn't make sense. And then you kind of have to walk them through it a little bit. But I'd say for the most part, the public is pretty on board with knowing that it needs to be done at least. So
Yeah,
not necessarily on board with it, but knowing that it needs to be done.
needs to be done. That's
So
good. At least they're
yeah,
accepting it versus I think in the beginning everyone was just very against it. So that's good
yeah.
to know. And they are self-paced from what I understand. It is an online class. You take a course and then you take a test and then you take a course and you take a test. It's kind of like when you do your renewals. I think some of them might have webinars. I think for the more serious certifications, like there's a transaction coordinator one, that one would probably be more hands-on with an attorney. But it really just depends on which courses and certifications you're looking at. But most of them are self-paced.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, most of them.
So, and then when it comes to the certifications, what I've learned over the years is, you know, you got to kind of make it work for you as well. Like when you get the certification, put that on all of your media and take the information that you learn and apply it really
Yeah.
is what the certification's for. So it's not
Mhm.
just about getting the little sticker for your email signature. It's, put it to work for you for sure. So bring it
Yes.
up in your listing presentations and your buyer rep presentations and things like that, just to help you with um, clout, I guess, if you want to call it that. So,
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely, because everything you're going to learn is super helpful when it comes to those designations. Okay, so NAR's phone number, I can go ahead and get that to you. I can email it to you, Travis, at the end of this meeting.
yeah.
Because I don't have it handy on me. But I can give you CARs. Because CAR membership, they would have the ability to navigate those certifications because they coincide, NAR and CAR, because those designations are for CAR. So let me give you CAR's phone number.
Truthfully, it's best to check out the website because then you can see all the upcoming courses and
Mhm.
certifications that are coming up.
Definitely agree on that. Definitely look at CAR's website and NAR's. Because we're in California, it's better to go to CAR's website under education because they have the CAR designations, which is where I pulled those courses from. But they are NAR designations, if that makes sense. But they're
Mhm.
tailored for California, which is why
Yeah.
they're on CAR's website.
Okay.
Okay, and then without further ado, if there's no more questions, I'm going to go straight into CRMLS.
Yep.
Okay,
Go for it.
perfect. Okay, I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so can everyone see everything?
See a Zoom.
You see Zoom. Do you see Recenter Hub?
I do now. Yeah.
Perfect. So this is your dashboard. You can actually, the first thing I'd like to show everyone before going into Matrix is, I'm not sure how many of us know about registered listings. So let's say you have a listing that the seller does not want marketed anywhere on the MLS or online or anywhere. But CRMLS still needs to know about the listing because there's no more pocket listings. So what you would do is you would register the listing under here and you would just click new and you would just put in the information. And you can always go from registered to coming soon and active if you needed to. How to do so, I would double check with CRMLS on the rules with registered listings and moving it to active, because technically you can just do coming soon. But it just really depends on whether the seller wants it marketed right away. So I'm not sure if you can go from registered listings to coming soon to active, or if you can go registered to active. Really just depends. If you ever have questions on that, you would call CRMLS, and their phone number is 909-859-2040, and I can put that in the chat. 909-859-2040. And that's CRMLS's hotline. When it comes to CRMLS, one of the questions I get is about the violations. So I always like to mention that NAR, CAR, CVAR, or any local board, DRE, and CRMLS, none of us police you guys. Only your peers are policing you. And then when someone does report a violation on your listing, none of the boards have any say in it. CRMLS takes care of those. They're the ones sending you the emails and the citations and the violation amounts, and they collect that money. That money doesn't go to any of the boards. It's directly collected by CRMLS. So I just want to make sure you guys knew that. And then if you guys ever wanted to customize your dashboard and get rid of some of these icons and add different icons, you would click on this little circle with the plus sign, which says Manage Apps. And anything that you want on there, you can just go ahead and put a star, or if you don't want it, you get rid of the star. And that's what really customizes it. So if you don't want this, you take it out, things like that. If you are a CVAR member, you'll see that our information's right here. This is our products and services. I always recommend putting a star under View My Account, because that's how you can log into your Info Hub, which is your CVAR portal, and sign up for FunX, which gives you all those discounts. But we're going to go straight into Matrix. And Matrix is where you guys mostly are working 100% of the time. And you'll see that we have our upcoming classes here and events. I do recommend coming to our YPN event that's on Thursday from 10:30 to 12. We're going to go over legislative awareness and strategic advocacy in real estate. And that is tied into the Realtor Action Fund. That's all the policies that are coming into effect legislatively with the government. That's going to affect the counties and how we do business and just everything. So it's really important to stay updated on that, so you know what is true and real versus just reading off social media or off CNN, because that is directly information on us and our direct legislation information. Now, the first step to do your CMA is you're going to go to Realist Tax, which is where I clicked right here. So you click Realist Tax, and that takes you into this program that is tied into the county assessors offices for all the counties. So what you'll do is, let's say you have a listing appointment, right? And you have the subject property. The first thing you do is you go to Realist and you look up the property that you are going to be making a CMA on. So you're going to go 6716. This is just one of your older listings we're going to practice on, and it's in Riverside. And what it does is, once you look up the address, it's going to go ahead and pull up all the information from the Riverside County's assessor's office. And the reason you want to look this up is because you want to see how many bedrooms, how many baths, when the last sale date was, how many square feet it is, how big the lot is, and when the year built is. The reason being is because at the end of the day, that's how you're going to create your comparative market analysis. You want to find homes that are similar in this square footage. And so you can go ahead, write down that information on a piece of paper, or you take a picture of it, however you want. I usually just write 4-bed, 3-bath, how many square foot it was, how many square feet the lot is, and the year built, because most of the time that is how people are comparing the properties. When you talk to a seller, they go, well, my house is bigger, or my lot is this, or this, and that. So you'll just go ahead and check on those criteria and write it down. It's up to you if you want to scroll down on the page, but it gives you the tax lot information, the APN number, things like that, the assessed value for 2024, tells you if there's any special assessments, gives you the characteristics, talks about if there is cooling, if it's central or not, how many garages, the garage type, what kind of parking. Looks like there's 3 parking spots. All the information gives you how many fireplaces, if there's any, how many full baths, or if there's any half baths. And then it gives you the cell score indicator. For some reason, this one's not giving us one, but most of the time it'll tell you if it's high, low, moderate. And that just means if it's likely that it will sell in the next 6 months. And then it gives you like the average range. So it kind of gives you an idea of what the value is. But of course, you're going to come up with your own value. So once you do this, then the next step is to go to Matrix, and then you're going to go to Search Residential Detail. And you'll just click that. And the next step is to not really do anything here. You're going to want to go to the map, and you'll see why. So we're going to jump to the address. And so we're going to put the full property address here. And what this is going to do is you click enter and it's going to take you straight to the property where it is on the map, right? And now you're going to create a radius. You're going to draw a radius. Of course, you're going to drive around the property, see what's comparable. I usually say do a mile. And then because what you're going to do is if you zoom in, you'll see if you do a little bit bigger than a mile, it's going to go above the freeway. And sometimes the homes on this side aren't as comparable as the homes on this side. So doing 1 mile is good. If you did a 1 mile radius and it went over the freeway, that's when I always say, go drive by, see if they're comparable or not, so you can go ahead and tailor your radius. It's always good to do a little drive by. But once you do that and you have your mile radius, go back to criteria. And what you're going to do is you're going to click on active to see what's active around it and what's closed. And of course, everyone does this criteria different. I always say run it by your broker to see how your broker wants you to do this as well. But you do active and closed, and then the bedroom count. So we know that we have a 4-bed. So what you do is you do 4 plus. So that way it gives you anything that has 4 or more bedrooms, because sometimes a 5-bedroom, yes, it's 5 bedrooms, but it might have a smaller square footage. So it kind of evens out when it comes to comparables. Same thing with 3. You can do 3 full baths. So we have 3 full baths. You can do 3 plus. And whenever you're doing ranges, it's important to not do any spaces, because then the system doesn't know what you're talking about. When it comes to living area, we have a 2,000 square foot home. So I always say go 200 below and about 300 above what our square footage is for the range. So our property is 2,116 square feet. So what I'll do is I'll do 1,900 to, see how I put the little dash in no space, 2, and then I'll do 300 above 2,100. So I'll do 2,416. And so now it gives me a range, but now I only have 2 matches. So that doesn't give me a lot to work with. So what I'll do is I will do 1,900 plus, oops, my bad. I'll do 1,900 plus, and then I'll just have to manually go through each listing, because you want to have as many options as possible. Of course, not too many, but at least like a good handful, like maybe 5 you can show them, because they will forget the beginning ones anyway. So once you do your little criteria like that and you have 21 matches to go through, that's when you'll click results. And then you're going to go through each one to see which ones are comparable. Now, of course, you would have screened the seller and asked them, if they've done any updates, or, if there's anything that needs work or if there's anything that they know of, just kind of like asking what the quality of the home is. So when you do look at the properties, you can see which ones are comparable. So like what you'll do is you look at the photos, you want to see what it looks like. This one's relatively nice, looks pretty new. So if you know yours is remodeled to this extent, this would be a good comparable. But let's say it's not, then it still could be, because let's say your seller wants to list the price at $1 million and their house isn't relatively as nice, then this would be a good one to show them by saying, well, hey, look, this one's a little bit bigger than yours. The lot is way bigger. It's actually 5,000 square feet bigger. And it's listed at $899 and it's been on the market for 42 days and yours isn't as nice. Of course, you'd say it better than that. You'd say it, in a much nicer way. But you would just go ahead and look, see when it's going to expire. And yeah, so you can say yes to this one if you want, all up to you because everyone does this different. This one's 5-bed, way bigger lot. This one probably is not a good comparable. But you would basically just kind of go through it. And based off what you know, you'll choose. And I always say have a few active and a few closed. So that way they have an idea of what is comparable to them. These are all so big. So you just go through it. This one's sold. This one's 4-bed, 3-bath. It's a little bit bigger. Lot is bigger, but it's sold for $750 back on April 4th of this year. So this would be a good one. And you can look at the photos really quick, see what it looks like. Looks like it's a little outdated. And if your property is as well, then this would be a very good comparable as to what it would sell for. So you would just choose a few. I don't like that one. This one doesn't have any photos. Speaking of photos, one of the biggest violations we're seeing lately is there not being a photo on the property. Always, there needs to be at least one photo. So let's say you're the listing agent and you just closed on the property, closed escrow, and the buyers and the buyer agent request you to remove all the photos. You can remove all the photos except the front one. You got to keep at least the front photo. Otherwise, you might get a violation or a citation. Same thing when it comes to coming soon properties. If you're putting in a listing and it's coming soon, at least, and let's say you don't have photos yet, right? Which is why it's coming soon, because maybe the property needs a little work or things like that. You at least need a photo of the full exterior of the property and the full exterior of the front of the property, not the back, the front. So let's say you leave your listing appointment and you got the listing contract signed, but you guys are going to go coming soon and you're not going to start actually going active right away. You still need that front photo. So take that front photo and you have 24 hours from the time you get the contract signed to input it into CRMLS. So 24 hours to input it as coming soon, at least with a front photo of the exterior. So maybe on the curbside, like on the street, just take one with your phone. Doesn't have to be fancy, just until you get those professional photos, because that will get you in trouble. Okay, so this one, I'll go ahead and click it, even though it's a little bit bigger, they'll see it. And now that, and this is just for sake of training, so we don't need a bunch. I'm just gonna go ahead and show you what to do next. So let's say you finished going through all of them and you found your comparables and these are the ones you wanna work with, right? The next step from choosing them is you kind of wanna clean it up. So you're gonna like narrow it down, get rid of all the ones you didn't click. So you're gonna click refine and click narrow. And that just gets rid of all the ones I didn't click. So now you have your 3 that you're going to work with. And then you have options on what you can do. So you go back to actions and you can actually create a CMA with Matrix. I don't recommend doing it with Matrix just because it's not as clean or pretty or as fancy per se. And looks are very important, especially these days with people having like Canva and things. But the easiest way to do it would be click Cloud CMA. And this is going to take you into the icon, well, like the app Cloud CMA. And you can go ahead and create a CMA report. Now, what's cool about when you click and do the search through here is it inputs those listing ID numbers for you right here. So you don't have to have the system search it for you because the system will do it, but it won't tailor it the way your search did. And it's always good to just manually know what's around there. And so you seem more knowledgeable when you're going out to meet with the clients. And then for the subject, for the title, I always say use the client's name, just because it's gonna show the property address on the front cover anyways. So it's redundant to put the title as the address when it's going to show it anyway. So I'm gonna get the client's names from here under realist. It's gonna tell me who they are, and it's Xiaobing Chen. So we're gonna go ahead and write that in, or we can say the Chen family. Again, this is all up to you guys how you want to do it, but I'm gonna say the Chen family. And then for private notes, these are just your notes. So let's say you have a listing appointment tomorrow at 5. They have dogs. They are relocating to San Diego, something like that. Just so you remember, because I know you guys talk to so many people, so you can just remember the little details as to why they're like why they need to sell, any of that information. So whenever you look at the CMA, you know, especially if you go on the listing appointment and they decide to wait on selling and you want to follow up with them later, then these notes would be handy as to why you even created the CMA. And then right here, you'd add subject property, and that is our address, 6716 Carab Wood. And it'll start putting in the information for you. See, it says 4-bed, 3-bath, it puts the square footage in the residential. If you have a photo of the property, you can use it here. You can sometimes crop this one if you like it, crop it, and then add it in, like save it, and then add it to this area. And then let's say you didn't do your search here and you just went straight into Cloud CMA, which you can do from this area when you go to your dashboard. So let's say you just go straight to Cloud CMA and you want the system to do it, then you can do the quick and dirty way, and it does it by proximity. And you just say automatically find listing, get me at least 10 listings, and you can choose how far back you want it to go. It's all up to you. And you can even do more criteria. So it'll do all the search for you. And then if you do it this way, don't worry, because the next page, it allows you to modify. So you just do fetch listings. And then it'll go ahead and show you where on the map they are. And you can zoom out. So those are 3. This is our subject property. They're not that far. They're kind of near the freeway. And then it gives you the summary of the prices. So what the average is, the high, the median, the low. And you can switch the order. So let's say you want Francis first, and then you want this one first, up to you. It tends to do it numerically, but you can always switch the order according to what you'd like it to show. And you can customize the report. When you click customize report, you're going to see that it allows you to take off pages or remove pages. And I'm going to show you that in a second, but I wanted to show you this part where it says add a listing, because you can always add another listing off your own brokerage or from a different MLS. And that is good for members who have a broker who is a member of multiple associations, so you can always add that in. But then you'll click customize report. And then this is what it looks like. So you can actually change your theme right here. So I have it as modern red and black. You can make it modern purple. You see how it changes the colors? You can make it teal and burgundy, up to you, but you choose theme and it'll apply it. And I'll show you guys after this how to customize like your headshot and your information. It's pretty easy. It's just kind of like you click here and you click account settings, and I'll show you that after. But this is all the pages it's going to be showing you. If you decide to pay for like the upgrades first, because this is the free version, but if you upgrade, you can get tools from realtor.com and things like that, and Power Pack packages or Tom Ferry pet pages. But at the end of the day, what is free on here is more than enough, in my opinion. But you can also see the title page and what it's going to look like. And it's going to look like this. So it shows you the address, the Chen family. Let's say you don't add a cover photo of the property. Like, let's say you didn't like this picture and you didn't want to add it in there. You don't have to. It'll just show the map and where it is on the map. So you still get a picture there. It's not going to be empty. And then it'll have your information here. So it'll have your headshot, your name, and your office. And that's your title page. Now you can add a cover letter. It does it for you, but you can modify what this says by going right here. You would click on edit and you can write whatever you want as your cover letter here. Now, let's say you do have, they call it an agent resume. Let's say you didn't want it. You can just click this and get rid of the agent resume page. But basically, if you have a lot of Zillow reviews or you have client testimonials or things like that, you can put it all here. Some people decide not to even put a resume, but if you decided you wanted to, you would just click edit and you can add your own little resume here. Then you can have, let's say, Rise Realty has like a page about the office and what the company is. You would put it here, and you can edit this as well. So let's say you have a PDF version or a version where you can copy paste. You can copy and paste it here, and it just talks about your company. Then we have what is a CMA page. This explains to the seller what a comparative market analysis is, how it's created, and how accurate they are. That way, it just puts in that credibility for you. And you can't edit that page. That is just a page that's included there. If you don't like what it says, just get rid of it. Then it has a contact me page, which looks like this. And it's just your information. Again, you can get rid of whatever pages you don't want. I always recommend printing all of it and then just going through it and taking out whatever pages you don't want, because sometimes seeing it on a piece of paper all flowing together changes your mind. Now, there's a listing chapter. So this is going to go over all the listings that you chose and their details. So you're going to go ahead and click on this to see what it looks like. Some of this information can be redundant. That's the listing photos and listing cover page. But it goes over each one that you choose. And it has a CRMLS watermark, so you can't reuse the photos. But it goes over their details, what their price is, when they closed, if they did close, things like that, if there's a land lease, which is important if your property doesn't have one or does have one, and it talks about days on market. And it does that for each listing, and it includes all the photos. So let's say you want them to see that, one house is comparable to theirs because of how outdated it is, or the opposite, how updated it is. You'd want to include the photos so they can see it. Because not all the time can they go look at the property. Even if they know it's like their neighbor Bob and they've been in Bob's house multiple times, just seeing all the photos is a little different because it's staged or not staged, things like that. Then it talks about adjustments, which again, if you don't want to use it, you don't have to use it. This one turned out to be blank. That means there was no adjustments, maybe because there's not enough listings that we chose from. And then there's an analysis chapter, which this is my cover page, just has analysis. And again, you don't have to use all that if you don't want to, but basically it goes over your statistics. And it talks about the two sold listings, what the average price was, and what the active listings are. So let's say we had more than one active listing, the average wouldn't be the one list price of the $899,900, which is why it's good to have at least 5 to 6 listings that you choose from. Again, it's hard sometimes with certain properties. It just really depends on what you got, what you're working with. Your broker can always help you. And then it also talks about the sold property analysis. Since we have 2 sold ones, then it talks about the average days on market, which was good. 16 days is not bad at all. What the original list price was versus the sold, and what the difference is in the price per square footage. So that way kind of gives you an idea of what you're working with. But again, you can get rid of all these or not, up to you. Now, this is a suggested list price that the system created. Of course, yours might be different. You might feel like 1.47 is a little too high for your listing. So let's say your list price that you're coming up with is different from this one. Of course, you're going to want to take this out. And you just take it out like that and it goes away. And the net sheet, I know some of you get your net sheets from your escrow or your title or from your loan officer, things like that. Then you wouldn't use this one. But if you don't have one, you can always use this. And it's using the word commissions, which is interesting, but it's because it's CRMLS. CRMLS has different rules than CAR legal. You're going to always want to remember the word is now compensation. So maybe just don't even use this. But I know some sellers are still using the word commission because it is commission, but compensation is a new word. But it also talks about time to sell. And these little flyers, there's so many of them. It's really up to you if you want to use them or not. But it talks about whether it's a good time to sell or not. Sold homes were on the market for an average of 16 days before they accept an offer. This sounds good. This would make me want to sell. So if it looked good to you, you can use it. If you didn't like it, you can get rid of it. But basically, let me show you more of these. Like this one says, why do you need a real estate professional? Gives them all the reasons why they need a realtor, because so many people decide they can do it themselves when in reality they really cannot. They don't even have access to contracts. Unless they're a legal attorney themselves, they really shouldn't be trying to sell their own home. And so this would tell them that. And then it talks about intelligent pricing and timing, blah, blah, blah. So after you go through each page and you decide what you don't want and what you do want, you would click Publish Report. And once it publishes, you have two options of sending it to the client. You can do it the old-fashioned way and have the whole thing printed, especially if you're going to their property and they're not meeting you at the office. You would do View PDF. And then you get the whole PDF version of it, and it keeps all the pages that you included. You can print it, there's 37 pages, and then you can take out whatever you don't want as well. But this is kind of what it looks like. And it just looks cleaner than the Matrix one.
I do agree. I've been using Cloud CMA for a long time.
Right?
So, yeah. And I actually kicked out a lot of the pages because it does get a little lengthy.
Yeah, it's really redundant.
Yeah. But, usually I leave the picture pages in of the comps and stuff because, when I'm at the appointment, I want them to be able to see,
Yeah.
pictures of the inside of the home so they can kind of compare theirs a little bit.
Yeah.
I have a couple fluff pages in here on mine. But other than that, I do all my CMAs through here. Actually, I kind of use this as my listing presentation in a sense because it
Yeah.
has really all the information that you're going to be covering,
Mm-hmm.
on, pricing their home and different things you can add in your marketing that you're going to be doing in there because these
Mm-hmm.
pages are customizable, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So this is what I have been using for, I don't know, at least 10 years.
Yeah.
So now, is this a CRMLS benefit or is this through the free version?
The free version is through CRMLS. I'm not
Okay.
sure because there's different types of CRMLSs. CVAR is CRMLS Matrix, and then there's
Mhm.
Paragon and there's Flex. As for Paragon and Flex, I'm sure they still have them there too. I think it just really depends on what CRMLS you're using. If you ever have questions on how to have access to it, if you're not a CVAR member, you would just call CRMLS directly and they can go ahead and walk you through how to find it. But there's another way to do this. You can do a view live, and it's basically a link you can send the client so they can take a look at it before the appointment if you wanted. And basically, it's interactive. So they click agent resume, they can see this, then they move on to the next page and the next page. And so that's up to you guys on how you want to do it. Um, I feel like it just depends on the client. Of course, you're going to gauge your client, see if they're more of a tech savvy client or if they're more like, I want the package delivered to me day before type of thing. But there's a view live version and it's just
I
interactive
actually
and
do both for my
nice.
appointments. I take a printed version of it
Hmm.
because I like to have a leave behind,
Yeah.
but I'll also take the digital version with me because I usually take my laptop in case they want to
Hmm.
review comps with me.
Yeah,
So you can use it essentially as your listing presentation if you
true.
just click on the view live version and
Which is
go
very,
through it. And then you can also leave them the printed version when you leave your appointment.
yeah.
One question came in. I use RPR. Is this better? It looks very similar. It is similar. I think it's, you know, whatever your preference is. If you're familiar with RPR and that's what you're using and it's providing the same type of material for you, then I'd say just keep using RPR if that's what you're comfortable with.
Mhm.
I personally don't use RPR. It's great. There's a ton of things you can do over there. This is just what I have been using for, like I said, about 10 years. And so
Mhm.
that's what I continue to use. So,
Yeah. RPR is it has more things going on in the system. And if you're comfortable with RPR, like Travis said, just use RPR. But if you're mostly working in CRMLS, using Cloud CMA is easier just because it's all in one little spot. But yeah, whatever you're comfortable with. But once you're in Cloud CMA, if you want to customize your information, you would just click on my headshots here. Let's say you don't have one, it would just be a circle with a gray man in it. And you would click that account settings. And from there, you can update all your information. So you can change your avatar. So let's say you got an updated headshot, you change it there, your name, your email, your company logo. Let's say you guys got new ones, you would remove it, add it here. And this is where you would customize your pages. So like if you have a resume or if you have client testimonials, that's what you would go ahead, you would come here and do it. So yeah,
cool.
and that's what I got for you guys today.
Yeah, hopefully that helps with at least the CMA portion and also your if you don't have a listing presentation and you're not good with PowerPoint or, Google Slides or anything like that, this really is pretty much done for you and it's free for most. I mean, CRMLS is probably one of our main MLSs that we use. We have Matrix and Paragon here, Paragon for the San Diego agents because we were all familiar with it. So,
Yeah.
so that's what most of San Diego uses, but everybody else is on Matrix.
Okay, good.
So, yeah, I use both actually, just depending on where my listing is, because being in North County, it's like,
Yeah.
sometimes we're on the cusp.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm seeing a lot of San Diego agents coming down here more. So it's been
yeah,
interesting. Mhm.
yeah. So, cool. Well, that was informative. If you have any questions, I would throw them in the chat real quick because we have her attention now and it's a good time to ask questions. So, um, yeah, we could probably do the legal update one because that comes out June.
Yeah,
Legal
probably
updates June, right?
mid-June. Yeah,
Yeah.
mid-June. Hmm.
Yeah. So we'll probably schedule something for June or something.
Yeah, there's going to be a
Go over
few
that.
revisions to some of the forms you already have, and then there's going to be new forms coming out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there always is. So,
Yeah.
all
Right.
right, cool. Well, thank you for coming on. That's helpful, and hope everybody has a great week. And let us know if you need anything.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a good day, guys.
You too. We'll see you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.